Ben Stokes was out. Australia could prove it. But 1 over earlier, they had wasted the only review that could save them. Everyone remembers Nathan Lyon dropping the ball at Headingley. That is the famous mistake. But it was not the mistake that truly decided the test. The real mistake happened more quietly. It came against Jack Leach. And by the time Australia understood what they had thrown away, Ben Stokes had already been given one final life. Headingley. The third Ashes Test of 2019. England had been bowled out for 67 in their first innings. Australia set them 359 to win. No England team had ever chased that many runs in an Ashes Test. By the final afternoon, the match looked finished. England were 286 for 9. 1 wicket remained. Ben Stokes was still there. At the other end stood Jack Leach, England's number 11. They needed 73 more runs. Australia needed 1 ball. That was the entire contest. Stokes understood the problem immediately. He could not simply score runs. He had to control who faced the bowling. So he began protecting Leach. He attacked late in the over. He refused easy singles early. He tried to keep the strike. Leach's job was brutally simple. Survive. Block. Run when Stokes called. And do not give Australia the final wicket. The longer they survived, the more the pressure changed sides. At first, Australia were hunting. Then, they started waiting. Waiting for Stokes to make a mistake. Waiting for Leach to miss 1 straight ball. Waiting for the ending that had looked inevitable. But every over without that wicket made the next decision harder. Then Australia got an appeal against Leach. Pat Cummins struck him on the pad. The appeal went up. The umpire said not out. Australia had 1 review left. Just 1. This was not Stokes. This was not a ball that clearly looked like it was crashing into the stumps. It was Jack Leach, the number 11. The man Australia still expected to dismiss without needing technology. But Captain Tim Paine reviewed it. The replay appeared. The ball had pitched outside leg stump. Not out. Review lost. Australia's final review was gone. At the time, it looked frustrating. A bad decision. A wasted chance. But not the moment the Ashes had turned. Not yet. Because Australia still had the world's best bowling attack. England still needed runs. Leach was still 1 ball away from dismissal. And Stokes was still carrying an impossible chase almost alone. But that failed review changed something much bigger than the decision against Leach. It removed Australia's last power to correct the umpire. From that moment, every close decision became final. No second look. No protection. No way back. 1 over later, the exact danger arrived. And this is where the story everyone remembers begins. Stokes pushed the ball into the leg side. Leach ran. Then hesitated. For a moment, he was stranded far outside his crease. The throw came to Nathan Lyon at the non-striker's end. Leach was nowhere near safety. Lyon only had to collect the ball and remove the bails. The test was over. The Ashes were retained. Headingley was Australia's. But Lyon fumbled it. The ball slipped away. Leach survived. The crowd exploded. Australia froze. That image became the symbol of the match. Lyon. The ball on the ground. Leach turning back toward his crease. A victory disappearing in 1 broken movement. But here is the first reversal. What if Lyon's fumble was not the moment that actually decided the match? Because the very next ball created an even clearer ending. Lyon bowled to Stokes. The ball struck him on the pad. Australia appealed. The umpire said not out. Paine looked desperate. The bowler looked convinced. But no review signal came. Australia could not challenge the decision. They had no review left. Hawkeye later showed the ball hitting the stumps. Had Australia kept their review, the decision could have been overturned. Stokes would have been out. England would have been all out. Australia would have won. The man who had survived a missed run-out one ball earlier was now saved by a decision Australia had no power to question. That is the hidden tactical reason behind Headingley. Not simply a dropped ball. Not simply a wrong umpiring call. A review used on the wrong batter, for the wrong delivery, at the wrong moment. The Lyon fumble was visible. The review mistake was almost invisible. One became the replay everyone watched. The other became the reason Australia could do nothing about what happened next. And that distinction matters. A drop catch can happen. A run-out can be missed. Pressure can break technique. But a review is a decision. It is a resource. And when only one remains, its value increases with every ball. Australia treated their last review like another appeal. They should have treated it like emergency protection. Because Leach was not the central threat. Stokes was. Australia did not need technology to create another chance against Leach. They needed technology for the one close decision that might decide whether Stokes stayed or went. That decision arrived almost immediately, and Australia had already surrendered control of it. Now the pressure became unbearable. Stokes knew he was still alive. Australia knew he should not have been. The crowd knew the match had changed. From there, every run felt heavier. Every field change looked more desperate. Every delivery carried the memory of the wicket that had just disappeared. Stokes attacked. He cleared the boundary. He found gaps Australia had protected minutes earlier. He turned impossible shots into scoring options. Leach kept surviving. One ball. Then another. Australia were no longer defending a total. They were defending themselves from the feeling that they had already won this match twice. First with the run-out. Then with the LBW. And both endings had vanished. Here is the uncomfortable question. Did Australia lose control because Stokes was too good? Or did Stokes become unstoppable because Australia knew they had already missed their final chance to stop him? That is the psychological cost of the wasted review. It did not just remove an umpiring correction. It changed the emotional balance of the match. The bowlers had no safety net. The captain had no answer. Every appeal became theater. Every not-out decision became permanent. And Stokes could feel the panic growing around him. England moved closer. 50 needed. Then 30. Then 20. Marcus Harris failed to hold a difficult chance near the boundary. Another opportunity disappeared. Australia changed fields. Stokes kept finding the space. Leach kept doing almost nothing. And that was enough. The number 11 scored only one run. But that single run made the scores level. Then Stokes swept the winning boundary. England reached 362 for 9. They had chased 359. They had won by 1 wicket. Headingley had produced one of the greatest innings in Test cricket history. But the ending hides the real lesson. Australia did not lose because they lacked chances. They had too many chances. A run-out. A catch. An LBW. The failure was that when the clearest decision arrived, their final review was already gone. Now imagine the same ending with one detail changed. Payne refuses to review the appeal against Leach. Australia keep their final review. Lyon still fumbles the run-out. The crowd still erupts. The pressure still spikes. Then Stokes is hit on the pad. The umpire says not out. This time, Payne makes the review signal. Hawkeye shows the ball hitting the stumps. Decision overturned. Stokes walks off. Australia win the test. Lyon's fumble becomes a forgotten scare instead of one of the most replayed mistakes in Ashes history. Stokes' innings becomes heroic, but unfinished. And Headingley becomes a story about Australia surviving a late collapse in control. Instead, one unnecessary review changed the meaning of everything that followed. That is why the famous moment is not always the decisive moment. The image we remember is Lyon dropping the ball. The decision that mattered came 1 over earlier. Australia had been Stokes out. They had the replay. They had the evidence. They just did not have the right to ask for it. 1 week review. one permanent decision. One test Australia could prove it had won, and still lost. So when you watch Headingley 2019 again, do not begin with Lyon's fumble. Go back one over. Go back to Jack Leach. Go back to the moment Australia spent their last review on the wrong man. Because Ben Stokes' greatest escape did not begin when the ball slipped through Lyon's hands. It began when Australia threw away the only decision that could still save them.